Hey traders, it's Ryan from theprivatebanker.com. Just doing a quick update for crude oil here, how I approached the day, what I saw in the day, and the current context that I'm looking at in this market currently. So from the top, just going to start with some of the higher time frames, and we'll run from there. Actually, I'll use the daily first. So so we saw contracts roll over on the 19th and the 20th, and we basically saw some long liquidation, some short liquidation, obviously buying into the contract expiration. And then on Friday we opened gap up. We see the market had a positive reaction across the board from the news that came out of China about them cutting the interest rates, and we see a gap up open into this upper balance here. So we've got just bear with me. We have the upper balance from that previous trading range, and now we have the lower balance, and we also had an open gap here. So basically, what I saw this as is the market open gap up, and we just see some backfilling in the market, and we just filled in a low usage area where we didn't trade here before, and we've basically spent 2 days here now filling in volume. So we now have a 2-day balance, and as you can see, the fast time frame moving averages have clearly caught up with price, and I've got the previous years marked up here. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but obviously we came down and we took a peak below these previous years. This is the current Globex low overnight, so I'm just going to mark this up as an overnight Globex. So I know what that is, but just so people don't get confused. So this is the Globex low that we currently have on the table at the moment to work with. And since then we've kind of seen a pause at some macro support, and we basically just see some two-way trade and this multi-balance area come into play here currently in crude oil. So from the gap, just going to quickly show you this as well. So this is just a Globex view, and you can see that this is the upper balance and this is the lower balance. And the gap up on Friday, we see a push up. We tested the Vwap, the volume point of control from this previous balance area, and you can clearly see that we had a responsive selling from here, and low liquidity, low volume in this area, and lower volume value was established on the day. So these are still rare prices at the moment, and value is still established lower last week, which I'll run into shortly in a moment. And so today we came in, and overnight we just see rotational trading Globex, and I was basically from the information that I'm looking at. I mean, I was going to run through the high time frame structure quickly. So we've obviously already talking about how the market's just in a balancing stage at the moment. I mean, we are still currently in a downtrend. On the monthly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of one time framing. I mean, this month is starting to look like a compression bar from that large engulfing bar from last month. We still have 4 trading days left of this month, but obviously Thursday is Thanksgiving, so that's going to be a holiday, and so we'll probably have a slowdown into the week. And on the weekly, we have I think it's like 8 weeks of one time framing down, and we are still currently one time framing. I mean, we've also got this key fractal low, which I'm just measuring this value area from, and as you can see, we're just basically pausing at short-term macro support, which is this level here, and it happens to line up with the value area low from this fractal low in 2008, 2009 after the flash crash in 2008. And we've basically seen just one side of a value to the other traded, and we are currently in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be the 9th week of one time framing down if we don't take out last week's high, which happens to be the gap up on Friday. So as I said, until we take out the one time framing, the path of least resistance is still down, the trend is still intact, and we're just basically pausing at macro support. I mean, if we look at the yearly, you can see that we're trading well out of value. I mean, we're trading we're trading outside of the second standard deviation on the year. We still have we still have value established in last year's value. So I mean, we are still looking sort of rotational, I guess, on the year, you could say, from this perspective regards value migration. But we can clearly see here that we are starting to build some nice lower volume here, and we are holding below that key last year's low, and we are sort of pausing at, as I said, support. But from the breakout, I mean, we're still out of balance, and we're basically just rejecting the developing value, and obviously the gap up on Friday, and today we opened, and we just basically opened right on top of the developing value area low from this breakout. And as you can see, we've seen responsive sellers today, so back down to the 5 exponential moving average. So we'll just have to continue to see how this plays out here. But from what I can see, the downtrend is still intact. Again, we came in and we tested this quarter's developing value. That was the gap, and this was just a trade today. And this is the reason why I was leaning to the sell side today. I mean, I was just looking for further rejection, further downside rotations. I mean, if we look at the let's quickly look at the yearly TPOs. I mean, just quickly run through this quickly. You can see the upper balance for this year, and you can clearly see we've broken out. It's very similar to 2008, but obviously not on the magnitude that we saw. But you can see the balance area here, even though it was elongated balance, it was still two-way trade. Tight balance, and we've seen a breakout this year. It's just interesting to note that. But let me just quickly find this week's. So we've got this last week's. This is RTH. It doesn't really matter, but regardless, I mean, we've seen one time framing down last week. Even though we opened higher, this is what most people fail to understand. I mean, what's price? Price is a mechanism for advertising, and time regulates opportunity, and volume measures the success failure of an auction. And last week we established lower value. So even though we opened higher this week, and we've tested the upper distribution bell curve of last week, we are still rotational. We're still inside value, inside balance, and value and fair prices are at $75 a barrel at the moment. So I'm expecting a test potentially of $75 a barrel. And then we go from there. I mean, we're either going to see a test of $75 a barrel, responsive buyers, and we're going to see further two-way trade, a potential breakout, a change, which I went through on the forum today with some charts that I posted, or we're going to see a pause. We're going to see further balance and a further breakdown. I mean, we've got like a double bottom on the pit trade. We have a double bottom down here, but we know that in the Globex we saw 73.20 traded in the Globex sessions into some macro support. So like I said, we are still seeing, to me, the downtrend is still intact. And as I said, fair prices at this current time from a micro perspective intraday and on a weekly time frame are at $75 a barrel. So my expectations are to come in and test $75 a barrel, and we've already pretty much established this. I mean, overnight we see that first test of value, and we see buyers trying to defend it. I mean, we see the market close a buy side imbalance, and we also were testing this month's Vwap overnight. You can clearly see this low volume usage area on this month's trade, and you can clearly see this low volume usage area on the quarterly. So I mean, maybe we see some two-way trade and we fill in some volume here before we make the next decision. But as I said, $75 a barrel was the first expectation for this week, and as I said, the buyers defended off the open, and we just basically migrated out to the extremes of last week's distribution bell curve, and we basically seen sellers responsive, and we've seen pretty much from the buy stops below the 75.60, which we happen to see a double bottom on the Globex trade. I mean, we had a double bottom there from Friday, and we came in and we almost had a triple bottom today, but you can see the stops got ran, any stops, key stops below this 75.60, they got taken out into the Globex close today. They didn't actually get taken out in the pit session, but I mean, we see a big seller passively taking out any buyers defending this area into the close, and then into the Globex just after the pit close. I mean, we see this sort of this mini stop run happen there. So it's just interesting to see that inventory cleared out of the market there. But so what I was looking at today, I mean, I already have my bias on the week. $75 a barrel was my sort of first sort of target on the week. So I came in and I started to try to lean off the short side. So overnight we see just obviously rotational. It's inside day. We opened just on top of the 10 exponential moving average and in between the 5. So the first thing we sort of did is we found sellers off of the 10 exponential moving average, and we sold off down to the 5 exponential moving average. And this blue line here is last week's value. So we came in and we just tested inside last week's value, and we tested the lower value from Friday, and we'd already seen like a skew to the sell side and a potential imbalance occurring. So the first thing I started to do is to look at is I basically broke down Friday's profile. I mean, you can already see how this marked up. So Friday we had a secure high Friday, and we had a poor low in the market on Friday. And I split the market out just to look for any clues for a potential trade location. You can see here that there was an upper balance, and then there's a lower balance. There was the upper balance, and then there was the lower balance on Friday. And basically, I was trying to lean. I was just basically trying to sell this area with a potential initiative sellers coming into the market, and potential further downside exploration below the 5 exponential moving average back into last week's value. And so the first thing I did, as I said, is I tried to find confluence. So the market, we see the market spike down to the 5 exponential moving average. We see this big sort of inventory spike up, and we see this. We basically filled in some volume from that K period spike from Friday, and I established shorts from ETH Vwap here with the point of control. So I start to layer into shorts the 76.40 area with stops above the point of control, the volume point of control from Friday. So I didn't want to see the market trade above the volume point of control and above the close, and I wanted to see initiative selling in the market with a test below this 75.60, and to run the stops below this key area that I see accumulated there. And obviously that was going to take out the one time frame that we'd seen in the market on the day time frame. We'd seen 1, 2, 3 days of one time framing up here. This is the 4th day, because we actually closed with 4 days of one time framing now, even though it does look like we're going to probably possibly gap down tomorrow, and that'll take that out. But I mean, we'll see what happens here heading in tomorrow. I'll go into that shortly in a minute. But so the first thing I looked to do was, like I said, is to sell it. So I came in, I established my short. I got some very quick scales, which was great. We couldn't close above the initial balance, so I was looking for a further punch down. And we basically just see this. I kind of got caught up in the emotions of it, I guess, a little bit, because I should know better than to do this, but that was my plan because of the higher time frame confluence that I was seeing. And we just basically see this big liquidity spike in the market. So the market, we see this punch down to new lows, and then they spiked it back to VWAP, and then we see this big spike back down. And this was on very low volume, and it was just very aggressive, fast-paced liquidity market that I was watching. And we came down, and we just couldn't break below that previous value area. So they suckered in all the shorts. Luckily, I got short from a good area. I managed to scale, manage risk. We came into that previous value area, and then So the market got short. The market's already short overnight, and then they came in, they ran all the stops. So all the stops got ran. Buyers came in, they ran all the stops, ran the overnight high stops. So any sort of any what's the word? Any weak inventory in the market, short, that got cleared out. And then the market got long, so the market baited in longs. There's two-way trade, just carnage. So everyone got long, retail jumped on long, and then we came up and we ran the stops, and we started to see these passive sellers coming in at the value area high from Friday. So I started to establish a short position here with a stop above, obviously, the pit highs from Friday. And then as we came in, I managed to get some scales, and we punched back to the 1.5 standard deviation and started to close inside value, and I was just basically started to establish a good core here, and I managed to get most of my my trade filled into the value area low, and I just held some inventory into the close because obviously the expectation was to make a run lower, and I managed to just hold some inventory into the Globex, and finally just had some targets into just below the area that I've been talking about, this 75.62 with that stop run. So I managed to sort of hang on into after the pit close and just collect that inventory, because I'd already seen that potentially happening with the big selling imbalance that came into the close. I mean, I was expecting the flush into the close, into the K period, but we just couldn't see it happen. So just after the market closed, I mean 10, 15, 20 minutes after, I mean the market just spiked through this and just cleaned these stops out, which is just an obvious thing that I was looking for. So managed to take a good trade in the end after been a little bit frustrated on that first trade, but just typical market making here. I mean, just two-way trade inside rotational day that I kind of got caught up with, looking for just initiative selling off of the open, and so we've seen like a 2-day balance now. We've accumulated some good inventory above this area, and so whatever way we break now from this area will most likely be, unless we can see some further two-way trade here, will most likely be the directional move back into that lower bracket balance area, or back into the upper bracket balance area. Obviously I'm favouring the sell side at the minute, with the path of least resistance being to the sell side, and to me the trend is still currently intact at the moment. And a long term, we'll have to see what happens here. I mean, we've got some important stuff happening with crude oil at the minute. I mean, we've got this stuff going on with OPEC, and they have meetings which I believe are being held this Thursday, and so there's a lot of fear and confusion in the market here, which we are seeing clearly in crude at the moment, due to the fact that the decision whether they're going to cut supply in the market. So at the moment there's an oversupply, so because there's too much supply there. That's what they believe has drove prices lower, because there's too much crude oil being produced and there's not enough consumers to buy it. So that obviously creates a lack of demand, lower prices, and that's what they're blaming on this price slump, as well as speculation. But to me, I don't believe that they are going to cut, that they're going to make the cut on Thursday. I believe that they're going to wait to the end of the year, see how the year ends, and then maybe make a decision into the first quarter if things get pretty bad and with crude oil continuing to migrate lower. But obviously, just that's my speculation on it. We just have to wait for the reaction and see what the news comes out as. But that's just my theory for the minute. But anyway, regardless of the news fear, I'm still, like I said, still looking at this as the downtrend is still intact, and we're just seeing continued balancing and sort of value migration, and just the normal trend in auctions that we've been seeing. So for the moment, that's my thought process on crude, and we'll have to see what happens. Obviously there's a lot of speculation going on at the moment, a lot of fear, like I said, so have to just be careful and keep on our toes here. But for the minute, like I said, the structure still looks, the path of least resistance still looks to the sell side for me. It's just one more interesting thing before I end this video, because it's become quite a long video. I mean, we are at a 50% retracement area from the 2008 lows to the high. I mean, we are at a 50% Fibonacci level, which happens to be the 74 sort of 18 area. So interesting to see the market respect that area so well. Obviously it being multiple confluence, which I've already been through anyway, but I just think at the moment we're just we've seen that we've poked below this 2011 lows, this 2012 lows, and we, at the moment we're continuing to reject that 2012 low. So to me, like I said, we're still looking for further downside. And my target at the moment for this market is potentially $67 a barrel. And I'll show you another very visual chart that also supports this theory from a long-term volume composite that I've been looking at. So bear with me 2 seconds. Right here. So if we look, this is a volume composite of all the data I can load that my charts will let me load, and you can see that the actual current distribution and the LVN, the next very very clear LVN is at $67 a barrel. I mean we've found support at the high of this composite, being this $107–108 a barrel, and to me the other side of the distribution at the moment is $67 a barrel. So I believe at the moment that we could be heading to this area. Obviously this is just an idea. I'm not saying that we're going to. We just have to see how we continue to trade and monitor the daily auctions, to the weekly, to the monthly, and the quarterly, and the yearly, etc., with the top down. And but I do believe that we could be heading to, as I said, $67 a barrel. Have to wait and see. Anyway, sorry for the long video. Hope you enjoy this, and as usual, if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.